Hey, you guys. We are going to talk today about common mistakes or pitfalls that happen when you are moving to a new city.
That's right. I mean, some things about a city you just don't know if you don't live there. So many subtleties that you just can't pick up from a map, right?
Right. So we actually, this thought kind of came from some friends that we had who lived in Georgia, and they decided to move to Birmingham. And, you know, by looking on a map, you think, oh, well, it's about 30 minutes from Birmingham and it'll meet our needs. But what they realized was where they did life, where they had school and church and sports activities and all those things, this house was more than a 30-minute drive to get to those things. And so their expectation was not met by that particular house. And so we were able to help them find a home a little closer in, which made that more realistic, more of a good fit for them.
Right.
And so we just want to talk through some pitfalls that we want to help you guys avoid as you're making a move either within the city or from somewhere else into Birmingham.
If you know what style or what type of house, if you know what style of neighborhood that you want to live in, Birmingham, the beautiful thing about the city is that there are multiple options for that style potentially that you may be picturing. So what, as realtors, we would love to know is what is it that you want, and then we can help you figure out how to get there.
Okay, so the first thing that we want to make sure that you guys think through is what kind of area, what style home do you actually want? Do you want a townhome? Do you want new construction? Do you want a historic home? Because Birmingham has all of those to offer.
Do you want to live where you can walk to a coffee shop or to a donut shop? Do you want to live kind of out a little bit in the country where there are more trees? Do you want to live, in a growth area? Do you want to live in a quiet area? So all of those things can factor in.
Right. So probably the only specific thing, like if you're wanting historic homes, like you're probably not going to find those in new growth areas.
That's right.
So, there are certain areas like Forest Park.
Yep. Forest Park is a great part of Birmingham. Not the only part, but it's a fantastic part where you can find some beautiful, old, tall, historic homes.
Right. Another area might be maybe not like 100-year-old historic, but, like 60, 70-year-old historic.
Which is not that far from 100,
right,
actually, as time goes on. But, you're thinking about like maybe Bluff Park,
right,
or Vestavia,
yeah,
some parts of Mountain Brook where, some of these homes were built in the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, 70s. And so, if you're a mid-century modern, if that's your style, then we can point you in those areas as well.
Right. And then the other thing to think about is with new construction, again, in those more historic areas, you're not going to find a new construction
because it's not historic at that point, right?
Exactly. So, if new construction might be your thing, it may be that you're a little further out from the city as opposed to, except for they are doing some lofts and new things downtown. So
that's an interesting thing about Birmingham. Again, as I work with investors from time to time that don't live in Alabama, they're looking for growth areas, and typically their expectation is cities grow outwardly into the suburbs. In Birmingham, what's happening right now, as it is in some parts of the country, is actually our downtown area is a place of new growth, with new condos, new apartments, a lot of new life coming in downtown. So if you're looking for an area of growth, that might be a place for it.
Right. So there's lots of options in Birmingham. So just be thinking through like exactly what type of home that you would like to live in. And then that will help your real estate agent help you navigate the different communities and different cities.
That's right.
All right, so the next thing to think through is HOAs. And I know we've done videos on HOAs, but as you're considering what kind of area, what you want your community to look like, HOAs may play a fairly significant role.
For example, if you want a community that is neat and tidy and everything looks perfect, that type of a neighborhood probably is going to have an HOA. On the other side, if you want to have more freedom about how you maintain or take care of your home, what colors you want to paint your home, if you want to potentially build a garage behind your home, or if you have an RV to park near your home, then we might want to look for areas in that case that don't have an HOA.
Right. So just thinking through how much say-so you want to have with your home, or how much diversity you can do with your home, that may determine whether or not you decide to go with a property that's within an HOA. So kind of coming right off of HOA is sense of community. And what does that actually mean? Well, if you've been around Birmingham for a while, if you've lived here, then you may already have a community, maybe with your sports, or with your work, or with your church. But if you're new to Birmingham, you don't really have a community.
Right. So, I mean, there are areas where, for example, in Bluff Park, where there is a really, really strong recreation league, women's sports as well as men's sports. A lot of things can happen there. If you're moving specifically to be closer to a specific church, again, right. That's something to consider as well.
So, jumping off of the HOA thought process, generally those types of communities are going to have a little bit more community activity. So those are going to be places that maybe have food trucks come in on the weekends, mm-hmm. or farmers market comes in, or maybe movies on the lawn, and all of those are fun things, and you may be like, I don't really care about that. But if you're new, this is a great way to make a community. So it may not be that an HOA is your most favorite thing, but if you're new to the city, it might be a great way to build a network, build a support system, build a community for yourself.
And along the same lines, if you choose to live kind of out a little further away, because that's the way you want to live, but you still want that sense of community, your realtors can help connect you with the events that are going on in Birmingham, where you can start to build those relationships. So truly, it's just a matter of knowing what you want and then working with the realtor to figure out how to put all that together.
Now, the next thing to consider, and I think this probably is a big one that most people do think about, but Birmingham traffic, if you're not familiar with the area, you may just not know what it looks like. So drive time to get to where you're going to be going on a daily basis.
So, compared to other cities around the country, Birmingham has about 1 million people in the metro area. But to be honest, compared to, again, our friends that live in Nashville, our friends that live in Atlanta, for example, Birmingham traffic is not that bad. But if you know that you don't want to drive for 45 minutes in both directions to where you work, then that's something to consider. Again, I think, our friends in Atlanta tend to drive much further than that. Mm-hmm. But in Birmingham, it's not hard to get from one point to another almost any time of day, right, within 30 to 45 minutes. So the drive times aren't as crucial as they are in other cities. But again, there are some spots of town that you just want to be aware of based on your job, where you're working, and then, when you need to be there.
Right. So the other thing with that is, like certain places are fine to get around like all throughout the day, but maybe they do a little bottleneck between, like 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. and then 3 and 5. But the rest of the time, it's super easy to navigate. And then some places, I'm calling you out, 280, there is traffic all the time. And so those are things to consider, and not just for work, because I know that's probably where most people think like, I need to have a certain amount of time to get to work, but also just where are you doing your life? Mm-hmm. Like, where are your kids' sports events? Where are their school events? Where's your family, if you have family in town? So just thinking about the drive time to get to all of those places as well may make a little different decision on, your work travel versus your regular.
That's right. And the way we live our life is, we go to the grocery store literally every single day. We use it as a market, right, almost like a daily market. But for some folks, if you're only going to go once every couple of weeks, again, some of those things can play into that equation. And again, we can help you think through that. Overall, just so you know, typically the Birmingham rush hour is mostly between about 7:15 and 8 a.m. And then again, mostly between probably 4:30 and 6 in the afternoon. So, but as you're looking at where you're going to potentially be working here in Birmingham, or as some of our clients are moving to Birmingham and they're retired, again, we can help you think through geographically where might you want to go.
The next one that is a big source of why people move to a certain area is school systems.
That's right. And what's interesting about Birmingham, and we've referred to this on some of our other videos, is Birmingham, the metro area, what we lovingly refer to as Birmingham, is actually a good-sized city, and then a lot of several small communities, several small municipalities around the actual city of Birmingham. And so the thing to keep in mind about school systems is that some of these little communities have their own, not just their own school, but their own school system. So again, you just want to pay attention to that. As realtors, we're going to always encourage you to do your own research about the schools that you want to get into. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, like any other part of the country, most likely, school zones can change within a specific school system periodically. So when you're moving into town, you want to get the number for the local school board of the area where you're considering, and then talk to them about current school zoning and are there any zoning changes planned.
And the last thing that we wanted to talk about as you're deciding to move into a specific area is just being aware of what's coming to that area.
So for example, there has been for many, many years a plan to put together an Interstate 459 on the north side of the Birmingham metro area. I still believe that they're working toward that, and that's something that you want to be aware. For some people, you want to be closer to that. For some people, you might want to be further away, so just be aware. Other interesting and fun things coming to Birmingham is a new amphitheater that's going to be on the north side of the city. Again, seeing lots of great growth in that area as well.
Right. And it's not that any one thing makes a home good or bad. It's just being aware of what's coming, because you may be really excited about living next door to the amphitheater, but as somebody else would rather have it very quiet. So just being aware and just having more knowledge helps in your decision-making process.
So again, how do you navigate all of these different ingredients? I would say, first of all, decide what as you're moving to Birmingham, decide what your ideal home, what your ideal community, what your ideal scenario looks like. And then again, as people who have been in Birmingham for many, many years, we would love to help you figure out where is the right place for you. So again, feel free to reach out to us. We are Mike and Brandy Brown with Keller Williams here in Birmingham, Alabama. Cell phone number 205-368-5995. Or feel free to email us, info@mbrownrealty.com.